7, One Man's Opinion. Today I will be discussing the revival of Jason Robert Brown's Parade with a book by Alfred Uhry and directed by Michael Arden, currently running through August 6th at the Bernard B. Jacobs Theater at 242 West 45th Street in New York City. Quick promo break here. Hey, if you haven't heard, I've got a Patreon page now. Come and support my show by becoming a patron where you can get exclusive content. A link to the page will be in the description. Now back to the review. Parade is based on a true story of Leo Frank, played by Ben Platt, a Jew from New York who has moved to Atlanta and is supervising a pencil factory. He was charged and convicted in 1913 for the murder of Mary Fagan, a 13-year-old girl who worked at the factory, played by Erin Rose Doyle. This is no spoiler, as Frank's story is presented through a pre-show projection when the projection slowly zooms in on a historical monument plaque describing how, after Frank was found guilty, his death sentence was commuted to life in prison by then Georgia Governor John M. Slayton. Outraged by the governor's decision, local vigilantes took it upon themselves to abduct Leo Frank from his prison cell and lynched him in 1915. It's all pretty disturbing and tragic as the musical depicts the events starting with Mary's death on Confederate Memorial Day 1913 up through the aftermath of Leo Frank's lynching. Currently, it is widely considered that Leo Frank was innocent, though recent interviews with the Fagan family and many people from the Atlanta area that I've seen show that they are still convinced of Leo's guilt. Many now consider the real perpetrator of the murder to be Jim Conley, played by Alex Joseph Graydon, a black escaped convict who was working at the factory as well. Though Leo Frank was pardoned in 1986, a legal confirmation of his guilt or innocence, as well as Conley's, has not yet been made. The investigation was reopened in 2019 and is still ongoing. I'm not going to delve too deeply into the factual and fictional elements of Parade, as many of the details of this case I've discovered are contradictory, and many of the sources I looked at are biased either for or against Leo, so I will primarily focus on the information provided by Uhry and Robert Brown. I do highly suggest reading about the case as it is compelling, and let you come to your own conclusions. My personal opinion, based on what I've read and watched so far, I'm inclined to agree with Governor Slayton's decision to commute the sentence and reinvestigate the case, as Prosecutor Hugh Dorsey's evidence was highly suspect, especially Conley's testimony. But, alas, Leo Frank's innocence, or guilt for that matter, will likely never be confirmed because he was murdered by a bunch of racist bigots without letting the investigation play out. As much as Parade's story is very much in the defense of Leo Frank, the story is much more than just a legal thriller. It is a love story between Leo and his wife Lucille, played by Michaela Diamond, as the two, even in their social display of propriety, passionately express their hope and love for each other. This is a difficult element of Parade, as lesser artists would fail at making their romance believable, because it must be understood that through most of the musical, Leo is in a great state of agitation and duress. Where a less qualified actor would end up making Leo look like an unlikable, angry, short-tempered man, Ben Platt is able to elevate multiple levels of Leo's personality, expressing his anger and frustration at being accused of a crime he didn't commit, but also, and this is very important, showing his despair in being separated from Lucille. The few moments the two get to share together are always elevated in Platt and Diamond's performances with their expression of love and hope. Their two duets in the second act, This Is Not Over Yet, and All the Wasted Time, are some of the best musical theater acting you'll see this season. Platt also gives Leo such a socially awkward demeanor that when it comes to the testimony scenes where girls from the factory fabricate a story of him attempting to seduce them and groom them, that his portrayal of these scenes as described by the girls is so outrageously silly that there's no way he would have come close to being able to seduce them. The same is with the reproduction of Conley's testimony, where Conley tells the court that Leo would tell him to stand guard in front of his office while Leo sexually molests the younger girls. Lucille is also a difficult role, as well, as it is easy to default to playing her as long-suffering, and though, yes, Diamond does give the character a tortured quality, which, by the way, is excellently elevated by Tom Watson's hair and makeup design for her, Diamond doesn't lose Lucille's inner strength to never give up hope and faith as she becomes the principal advocate for her husband's petitioning Governor Slayton, played with genuine heartfelt depth by Sean Allen Krill, to reopen the investigation into Fagan's murder. I should note that also there are two Tom Watsons that I'm going to be talking about. There's the previously mentioned hair and makeup designer, and then there's the character who shows up in the play as well, who's a totally different person. So I'll make sure to clarify that when we get there. The depth of character throughout the musical is a credit to director Michael Arden, as again, Parade is not an easy musical to act in. It is easy to default to stereotypes, and though yes, the ensemble plays a collection of racists and bigots, their portrayals are not limited to just playing dumb hicks. These are people with depth and character. They may only have a couple individual lines throughout the show, but the characters are never so simple as, I hate Jews or I hate black people. Do they? Yeah, they do. But you see that there's something going on behind the actors, that there's a reason why they are who they are. The role that I felt did fall into stereotype was Tom Watson, the character, played by Manuel Feliciano, who went a little too much racist Baptist preacher when Watson wasn't a preacher at all. But I guess the character could be an amalgamation of different types of people egging on prosecutor Hugh Dorsey, played by Paul Alexander Nolan. The night I was in attendance, I saw Alexander Nolan's understudy, Harry Boovey, who was actually quite excellent, giving Dorsey an unassuredness in his decisions, giving moments of weighing that what he may or may not believe versus what he is being pressured to do by Governor Slayton and the public. When Dorsey has no success in getting anywhere with the investigation, he decides to arrest Leo Frank, a Jew, instead of, I'm paraphrasing here, just another black man with Connolly, because hanging another black man just won't do this time, as he says. There's a weight thrown on his shoulders when he makes this decision that he fights to carry the rest of the way in the musical. Like he knows what he's doing is wrong, but doesn't care because his aspirations are more important than right or wrong. If only the set design was as good as the cast. For some inexplicable reason, there's a giant wooden box in the middle of the stage that is used as a platform for the bench and witness stand during the courtroom scenes and as Leo Frank's prison cells. The thing is a huge eyesore and an obstruction, causing the rest of the stage to feel cluttered. What would have worked would be a smaller, far more artistically appealing set piece like a judge's bench that could have been much smaller and set to the side of the stage versus making it dead center and gigantic. Yes, the piece is used for super title projections that are used as scene setters, but there's an upstage backdrop that is used for projections throughout the show that would have been just as functional. By the way, I actually love these projections designed by Sven Ortel, as it is used for educational purposes, showing photos of the actual people represented on stage, as well as some of the forensic evidence of Mary Fagan and Leo Frank's murders. Parade is a stark addressing of the anti-Semitism that has been rampant in the South for a very long time. The Leo Frank case is one of the events that aided in the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan in the area. It is also, though, a story of love between two people who dearly hold on to each other in the face of insurmountable obstacles. Sobering and inspiring, it is a fantastic production. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see Parade, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Again, you can be a supporter of my show by becoming a patron on my Patreon page. A link is in the description. You can also support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and click the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be Iverton Playhouse's production of The Legend of Georgia McBride. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.